Oop, I don't know how that happened. Ah,
Bam, I'm there.
you magically appeared like Lucky
Aha.
Charms. We love to see that. But hello everyone. Good evening, konnichiwa, hola, bonjour, whatever language you be speaking this evening. I don't know why I decided to go with a French accent, but here we are. But welcome to. It's been a hot minute, but welcome back to the Strong Style Syndicate, your New Japan review team here at BC WrestlePod. Of course, I am El Jefe of BC WrestlePod, Mikey, and joining me is my Gaijin hermano, Mr. Adolfo, the nerdy Puerto Rican. Happy to have you tonight.
Konnichiwa. Konnichiwa, everyone. Happy to be here.
So I'm super excited. It's been a while since we've got to review New Japan, but you might be wondering, why did it take so long? Well, let me tell you, we've been going the last 5 weeks doing small little recaps of the G1. We did this for the best of the Super Juniors, and we're like, you know what? We can do this for the G1. We'll talk about our experience at the very end. I will say it was a lot of fun, but I was just like, I don't know why, but Best of the Super Junior was a little bit easier to keep up with, and I don't know why for me personally, but we'll talk about it though, because G1, there's a lot, but I'm excited to talk about it. But before we get into all of those details, if you are new to BC WrestlePod, however you found us, whether it was a friend, the algorithm, or you're like, hey, who are these two sexy Boricuas on my screen? Well, hey, how you doing? But we appreciate you and we love having you here. So if you like what you see, you can subscribe and hit the bell notification on YouTube or follow us on Twitch and Kick, whatever your preferring site is to watch and consume content. But we also know and understand that watching hour-long, sometimes hour-and-a-half-long live streams or even hour-long edited reviews may not be for you because you don't have the time. That is why we highly suggest you follow us on all our other social media platforms at BC WrestlePod, where you get the short, condensed versions of our report cards that gives our thoughts about every TV show and pay-per-view that happens and special events that go on as well. You can stay up to date when said live streams go live, as well as, telling us whether you agree or disagree with some of our grades and takes. So, if you've been paying attention to the socials this past weekend, it's been a very long time in terms of a pay-per-view, but I had to give TNA's emergence a C, and my scale goes from C- to A+, as I don't believe any wrestling show is a D or an F unless you're Ric Flair's retirement match. That was straight doo-doo, and it was an F. So that is the standard, and that is where the ceiling is. But yeah.
So we're not here to talk about that.
No,
we're to talk about G1.
We are here to talk about the G1. So this is how it's going to go. We are going to be reviewing the from the playoffs to the finals. So we already covered the last 4 or 5 weeks of just the round robins and our brief mini recaps, in which there's a whole playlist. You can go and watch all of that if that tickles your fancy. So we are going to be talking to the playoffs as well as the final night, which had a bunch of multi-person matches, and our finals, and we'll get into all of that. But we also have some merchandise that is going to be linked in the chat below. I am wearing my sexy Hot Boy Summer collection right now. It is still the summer, and this shirt will be going away at the end of this month to make room for our fall collection. So stay tuned for that.
Ooh, spooky season coming up.
Spooky season. Pumpkin spice lattes and spoopy season. We are here. And then before anyone asks, yes, I already know that Mariah Carey is defrosting somewhere in the world. But let's get into it because we got a lot to talk about. So we are going to start off with our playoffs match. So to recap, after 2 blocks and 5 weeks worth of round robin matches, we finally had a final 6. And to bracket, it was as followed. So Evil was the winner of A block, so he got a bye. And then the winner of B block and Zack Sabre Jr., the current IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, also won the block and got a bye. So that means that in the playoffs, to see who would go face the winners of each block, on the left-hand side, we had 3rd seed from A block, Yota Tsuji, taking on 2nd seed of B block in Shota Umino. And then on the other side of the bracket, the 2nd seed, David Finlay, who I wasn't really watching A Block because I was covering B Block, but I was like, David Finlay, we need to get it together. And by the grace of all the wrestling gods, he finally got. The comeback kid is here, but he would be taking on the third seed of B Block in Konosuke AEW's and New Japan's and DDT Pro Wrestling's Konosuke Takeshita.
Yep. Really, really quick with the A Block. If you go back and you do the math, other than Evil, who came out with 12 points, and we're going to talk about, I'm going to talk about that later. You actually have a 4-wrestler tie mathematically, because you had Yuya Uemura, Bolton Oleg, Yota Tsuji, and David Finlay all ending with 10 points. The thing that propelled Yota Tsuji and David Finlay above Oleg and Yuya Uemura is that Tsuji and Finlay beat Bolton Oleg and Yuya Uemura respectively on different days. So because they had those wins over them, that's what hopped them to the top, which I thought was actually pretty cool. Because on the last day, you knew Evil was in. You didn't know who the last two were coming. I thought it made for really, really exciting storytelling. So
no, and then to briefly talk about it too over in B Block as well, because after re-recording because files got corrupted, but when I did my final recap for B Block, this was the day before the final action of B Block, so we were playing scenarios. So at that point, Zach secured his spot with 12 points after coming back the last couple of weeks because he was not doing too good the first 2 weeks, but then he got it. At that point, we had a 3-way tie to see who would take 2 of the 3 spots for B Block in the form of Shota Umino, Ren Narita, and Konosuke Takeshita. But we also had Yoshihashi and Drilla Maloney also in contention. But the way that it worked out is that certain people needed to win certain matches and things like that. And we're going to talk about him a little bit later, but ELP, El Phantasmo, playing spoiler. He was mathematically eliminated by week 3, and he ended up dashing the dreams of Yoshihashi and Drilla by beating them towards the tail end, which was nuts.
Yeah, and that was Sonata and A Block, but that's beside the point. And by the way, Drilla Maloney, I would buy him many drinks.
I'll be like,
moving on.
Yes, we'll talk about him a little bit later. So let's get into our playoffs. So Evil and Zack Sabre Jr. would be watching these 2 playoff matches very closely because winner would face them 2 days later on August 16th. So let's get into our playoff matches. The first one we're going to talk about was, this one was so good. This one was Konosuke Takeshita versus David Finlay. I was like, listen, if you're only going to watch the playoffs and nothing beforehand, I highly recommend this. This ended up being one of my favorite 3 matches of the entire tournament. My God. I was like, David Finlay still got it. And Takeshita kicking ass and taking names too. This was great. I kind of wanted Finlay to win, though. I was like, oh my God, I love you, Takeshita, but Finlay. But Adolfo slightly disagrees. Tell me first, just talk about, let's do it. Yeah, just talk about this match, and then I want to hear your thoughts because you did cover A Block, so I want to hear Finlay and his performance.
Yeah, so the match, not to jump the shark, but can Konosuke Takeshita wrestle a bad match?
No.
Can someone on the internet find a bad match that Konosuke Takeshita has wrestled? This match was a great match. It had it, until the very end. I was really impressed with Takeshita. He's just, every time I've watched him, and I've been watching him since he came into AEW. So, if you want to call it relatively new, I'm relatively new, but I've been watching Konosuke Takeshita for a few years now, and he just, every time I see him, he just gets better and better and better, and I'm just like, how do you do this, you animal? David Finlay, he at the beginning of the A block, I really didn't care about David Finlay. And the matches he wrestled, because he lost early, right?
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, by the end of week 1, he was over. He didn't have any points. I think maybe he had 2 points, something like that. But he was at the bottom, right? And he seemed like he was all bark, no bite, no pun intended. The other thing that really turned me off was he kept, and the announcers kept comparing him to the other leaders of the Bullet Club War Dogs,
or Bullet
right?
Club in general, yeah,
Bullet Club in general, which he even did after his loss in his press conference after he lost. You know, that he was pissed because he is apparently the only Bullet Club leader who hasn't made it to the final in the G1, and just it just like, to me, it seemed like everyone else was there for themselves, and that to me was a better story. I didn't feel like he was there 100%. And then even like in the matches that he like popped up, he just seemed like a shell, you know, like he was just going through the paces. So I don't know if that is if it's story going on with him. I know that, what was it, Dominion, going all the way back to Dominion. That's when I feel like everything really started going tits up for him.
War Dogs was getting dismantled left and right.
Right, exactly. And then, the House of Torture really brought it in. So yeah, he just since then it just seems like he's been kind of phoning it in. And the announcers keep talking about, the Finlay family, this and that and the other, and I don't see it. I didn't see it.
Listen,
even in his wins, in his late A block wins,
you couldn't get on. You couldn't get on board the train, so to speak.
Yeah, and I mean, he did have a good match. Which one was it? I'd have to go back in my notes. But he did have a good match at the end there. But like, definitely when he made it, when they announced that he was the third one from the A block that was going in, I was like, ooh, so he's going to be the first one out. Okay.
All right. To be fair, to kind of talk about commentary, listen, Walker Stewart and Chris Charlton, I love you two on commentary, but like I love you both, but I was like, let's reel it back. Like, I get your commentary, but like, I was like, are we sure I'm like, I'm not sure if I agree with you. Still love you, but anyways. So after all is said and done, Takeshita beats David Finlay, and he would be going on to the semifinals to face Zack Sabre Jr., who we're going to talk about in a little bit. But let's get into the final playoff match to see who would face off in Evil. And this was, this to me is like, these are the two. Yeah, these are the two that are going to lead, in my opinion, are going to lead the new generation of New Japan into the next era. And this is Shota Umino versus Yota Tsuji. This was also a really great match, and dare I say, I think this was my favorite of the two playoff matches between the two that we got for this particular night. Shota Umino, kind of this whole entire year since losing to Zack at Wrestle Kingdom, has been a journey about reestablishing himself, finding himself, what works for him, who does he want to be, what kind of wrestler is. And this tournament was an extension of that, because we got to see him kind of get back some of the stuff that we saw at the beginning of the year with his ring outfits and how he treats his opponents. But damn, Yota Tsuji over here has been a constant favorite of mine. And I was just like, where in the world is this Carmen Sandiego mofo over here? This match was so damn good. I really love this one too. And this was my favorite because I think these are the two current, I don't want to say young ones because they're kind of not in their 20s, but still they are going to lead New Japan into the new era, especially Yota, in my opinion, but Shota's also there as well. This was so much fun. I had such a blast watching these two. I'm like, yes, this is what I want.
Yeah. I was a little bit worried about Yota Tsuji coming towards the end of the A block because he got a lot of wins early. Towards the end, he kind of started sputtering, and I was worried that he wasn't going to have that momentum going into the finals. But he's a fantastic wrestler, and he reclaimed that, and he went in there and he did his thing, and he does end up with the win over Shota Umino. Sorry if I jumped the shark on that. I am a new watcher of New Japan Wrestling. Okay, I am a new watcher, and I know that Shota Umino has gotten crap from, I guess, older fans and this, that, and the other. His dad is a ref or higher up, and he's kind of been handed stuff, blah blah blah. I'm sorry, like, hot take, I don't see it. I see a wrestler who goes in and he puts the work in, and every time I've seen him wrestle, he has put the work in, and he has wrestled with his heart, and he hasn't phoned it in. David Finlay, he's there, and he knows what he's doing, and he looks good. He's got that look. Yeah, I totally agree. I feel that the future of NJPW is going to be on the shoulders of the likes of Shota Umino and Yota Tsuji. The match was a great match. Definitely, if you get a chance, go back, rewatch it. It was, I don't want to say it was a clinic, but it was a really entertaining match. So
it definitely was. And like you said, Yota Tsuji beats Shota Umino, and he will be going off into the semifinals, which let's get into. So by the end of our August 14th episode, we had Shota and David eliminated, which led into our semifinals. So let's get into it. So the first semifinal match we had, of course, talking about him not like less than 5 seconds ago, Yota Tsuji takes on the leader of House of Torture in the form of Evil. We gonna talk about you because, sir, I was just like shaking my head the entire time. I was just like, who in New Japan decided that House of Torture is gonna run shit in New Japan? I was like, how dare you? We here at BC WrestlePod, specifically me and JBL, like, we have rolled our eyes as like avid watchers of New Japan and watching the House of Torture shenanigans, especially this year. Like, oh god. And to jump the shark a little bit, when Evil beat Yota Tsuji here, I was like, oh my god, is New Japan actually gonna let Evil win this tournament? But I actually really like this match. So it's all saying that I actually kind of dug this match. Of course, we got House of Torture stuff, but this isn't the first time these two have gone at it. So Yota Tsuji got one up over on Evil with the whole twin thing at Dominion, which was so much fun.
Yeah.
But Evil got the lick back in here, though. But I had a good time with this match. Nothing too crazy, but I enjoyed myself, surprisingly.
No, yeah, well, the wrestling aspects were great. Evil is a good wrestler. And I mean, we just talked about Yota Tsuji, so I'm not going to recover that there. I said this in my A block review. House of Torture was going to win. It's not Evil. It's House of Torture. And that is exactly what happened. They came in, they shenaniganized throughout the whole match, getting Evil that win. I mean, like, seriously, Yota Tsuji, even the ref, they couldn't turn around without, someone else from the House of Torture popping up and doing a thing. Evil came down with Finlay. I'm sorry. Hang on. Let me check my notes. With Dick Togo and Don Filet, who he's been coming, coming down with the entire tournament. But of course, like, that means nothing because you have Kanemaru and Sonata and the rest of House of Torture kind of like lurking in the shadows. But Evil himself, like, he's flipped the script. He's become a very devious wrestler. I mean, he kept taking the ref and like tossing him in the way of Yota Tsuji. Every time Yota Tsuji, wound up for a gene blaster, and Yota was like, and he had to stop, and he did it again. And then, by the next time that he did it, and the ref turned around, Evil low blows Yota Tsuji, the ref gets knocked out. And I mean, to be honest, it wasn't Evil who beat Yota Tsuji, which I know I just said. It was Don Filet knocking Yota Tsuji out. And then Evil just kind of like, submission hold. Yeah. Because he didn't tap out. Yota Tsuji did not tap out. The reason why the ref called the match is because he was knocked out. And that was Don Filet. Evil cannot win by himself.
No,
he has to have the House of Torture coming in. And it happened. It was entertaining at the beginning of the A block, right? In the first week, 2 weeks, but like halfway through week 2, getting into the end, it was really becoming irritating, to the point where they would show up and I'm like, well, we know who's going to win. It's going to be Evil, or it's not going to be Evil. It's going to be House of Torture. And even if you go back and you watch, my A block reviews for that week, I say that it's House of Torture that won, not Evil. It's House of Torture.
Very fair.
Yeah. And ELP, he said it on commentary. I think it was week 2 in the what was it? I think it was the Sonata, Yuya Uemura match, one of those matches. But it was Sonata, who Sonata is a part of House of Torture, and the match started out, and it was going to be this beautiful technical magistry. I was so into it, and all of a sudden, the House of Torture shenanigans started, and Sonata ends up winning, and it just kind of ruined everything.
It was a rough go for sure. Shout out to ELP. He was so much fun on commentary. I'm not even gonna lie. A few times we had him. And Drilla too. I'll be like, I can listen to those two talk shop all day. It's so good.
Totally. But the same thing with this match, in that the wrestling was really good, and it just pissed me off so much that they just that they resorted to the House of Torture shenanigans. And that is who won this match, was the House of Torture, not Evil.
Not Evil, House of Torture. I will say this though, because the House of Torture stuff during the Best of the Super Juniors was kind of fun because it was very minimal and it was that. But we're going to talk about it in our finals too. But yeah, so Evil and House of Torture helps Evil beat Yota Tsuji. So now we get into the final semifinal, and this is everything that I wanted. Zack Sabre Jr., your current IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, taking on Konosuke Takeshita of AEW, DDP, whatever promotion.
Zack Sabre Jr., greatest technical wrestler alive. I will die on that hill.
So the only critique I have of this match is that I wish this was the final, because this was so good too. But I will say, bearing the lead a little bit, the final was probably my favorite of the whole tournament, and we're gonna get into it a little bit. But Zack Sabre Jr. versus Konosuke Takeshita, everything that I wanted. And there was a little piece of me, I was like, oh yeah, Zack's probably gonna win. Takeshita's had a really fun run. Zack took him out last year, I believe, too. And color me surprised, Takeshita knocks Zack out of the tournament and is going to the finals. So I was like, oh my God, Takeshita just pinned the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. What does this mean? And then I saw the press conference after the finals. So I'm like, oh my God, we don't have to wait until Wrestle Kingdom for this match. Oh!
Yeah, this was a war. These two went to war, and it was beautiful. Again, Takeshita was just so fantastic, and Zack Sabre Jr., dude, the way he finds a reverse off of a reverse into another reversal, it blows my mine. I'm sorry if I just demonetized us, but it does, man. Holy cow. Dude, I was so spent after this match. It was such an emotional ride. It was that good. It's definitely top 10 end of the year matches for me. Just, Konosuke Takeshita wrestled his match because, like a lot of times you'll get wrestlers that they'll go in and they have like one style and they try another style when they face a wrestler, like Zack Sabre Jr., who's so known to be a technical wrestler. And like it just, the match ends up looking kind of clunky because the other wrestler isn't, technical. Not Takeshita. He wrestled his match. Zack Sabre Jr. wrestled his match. And it was gorgeous. Zach hit this. It was So I forgot what move Takeshita hit on Zack Sabre Jr. But Zach then like reversed it into an armbar, which then Takeshita reversed, and then Zach reversed again. Yeah, it was good. It was good. And at the end, we got a handshake from the two of them. It was so good, which is something else which like tripped me out, right? Because if you watch Konosuke Takeshita on AEW television, he is the bad guy, right? Like he comes out with the Don Callis family, and he's just like, they play that like music for him, and he's got the whole demon mask and all that, right? And I mean, he kind of has that aura when he's not in AEW, but like he's like the honorable anti-hero, if you want to call it, which I love. I mean, even Rocky Romero, who, we love Rudo Rocky Romero, like that's best Rocky Romero. Watch our CMLL review if you want to hear us talk more about that. But, even Rocky Romero was just like, I'm like manager guy, which was fantastic. And I just watch this match. Go back, watch this match. Stop watching us. Go watch this match, please.
Seriously, go watch this. So as I said, Konosuke Takeshita beats Zack Sabre Jr., which sets us up for the finals, which would be on the previous night. So now let's get into the final section of our review. So this is the final night of the G1 Climax 35. So here's what we're gonna do. We had a lot of multi-person matches. So we're gonna briefly just like give quick thoughts, and then I want to spend most of our time talking about the finals of the G1, which is also the longest match on this card because everything else was less than 10 minutes. Yep. So to begin, as we normally do with these kind of big shows, we have a Young Lions exhibition. So these are the Young Lions of Japan. So this saw Shomo Kato and Tatsuya Matsumoto taking on Masatora Yasuda and making his Young Lion debut, and Mr. Zane J. So again, really fun. I love watching the Young Lions getting a chance to be in front of the crowds as they open up the show, as always. But here we have we have the Boston Crab applied to Matsutoro. Well, actually, yeah. So Matsumoto tapped out to the Boston Crab, giving Zane J and Masatora Yasuda a win. So love that. Fantastic. I forgot that Kojima was here too. I was just like, damn, Kojima be popping up everywhere.
Yeah, right.
So in a non-title match, we saw Satoshi Kojima and Taichi taking on Togi Makabe and Katsuya Morishima. So love these pictures, by the way. Fantastic. It was really, really fun. Of course, Taichi and Kojima end up winning. So this was a lot of fun.
We got our Kojima chops.
For real.
But I was so happy.
Yeah.
And this whole thing with Kojima and Taichi has piqued my interest. I want to dig back and like find this history between them, because apparently there's a big history with them, and I want to know.
Yeah, so apparently this is running back to like New Japan with the Kojima Gun faction from years ago because of the history with everyone. This is great. But that was not the match. Wasn't the only thing that we got, because afterwards David Finlay comes out, and I was just like, okay, Finlay, what are you going to do? And then the screen pops up, and in Japanese, the English translation is we see the Knockout Brothers. So this is Yuto Nakashima and Oscar Leube. Recent young lions who were out on excursion have finally returned to Japan, and they are the newest members of the Bullet Club War Dogs. On top of that, they also want a piece of those tag team championships that Taichi and Kojima are holding. So I'm like, oh boy. And which we're going to talk about, because they already made matches for September, which is already nuts to talk about. So we'll talk about that when we get into what's coming up for New Japan in the couple of fall months. So this was a fun one.
Meh. Again, like, even when Finlay came out with the Knockout Boys, he looked like he was phoning it in. Go find yourself, David Finlay, please.
Be like, go find yourself right now. All right, so in our third match, so we know a lot of these folks for the Best of the Super Juniors. I had such a great time with this one. We have Toru Yano, Yo, and Master Wato taking on Yoshihashi, El Desperado, and Ryusuke Taguchi, one of my new favorites from Best of the Super Juniors. This was, funny enough, this was a very spirited affair, and to my surprise, but not really, Toru Yano, Yo, and Master Wato end up beating Yoshihashi, Despi, and Ryusuke Taguchi, with Yo pinning El Desperado and calling his shot for that Junior Heavyweight Championship.
Yep.
Makes me excited.
Yeah, there was a lot of story set up with in this match, actually, because then you had Yoshihashi and Taguchi wanting to get the tag belts from Master Wato and Toru Yano.
So I'm excited.
A lot of good story set up here. I liked it.
Everybody not involved in the finals yet. Everybody not in the finals. We're setting up for things in the fall. Can't wait.
Yep.
I always love this picture of Yo, by the way.
Yes.
Yo is great. Some other stuff that got set up in our next match, though, too. We have our never openweight champion, Bolton Oleg, teaming up with ELP El Phantasmo and Tiger Mask, taking on the House of Torture, which is being represented in this match by Sonata, Don Fale, and Yoshinobu Kanamura. Again, House of Torture shenanigans. So I was like, it's House of Torture shenanigans. Don Fale ends up pinning Tiger Mask for the win, and Don Fale wants a shot at that never openweight championship that Bolton Oleg is holding on to. And I'm like, you're going to have to sell me on that one a little bit, but hey, it is what it is. I'm like,
all right, so this is, for me, I'm vested, because Bolton Oleg, Evil, one of the last matches of Block A, Bolton Oleg is beating Evil until your House of Torture shenanigans. Don Fale, they set a table up, and Don Fale hits a plancha, putting Bolton Oleg through the table, and that's how Evil ends up beating Bolton Oleg. And ever since then, I just, Fale, it just keeps poking Oleg, and I want to see my big man from Kazakhstan just like wreck Don Fale for every injustice that Don Fale has done to that man. I want to, threefold.
We want to see receipts.
Bring it. I'm excited. Yeah. And I hope it's one of those things that, Don Fale, goes into to wrestle Bolton Oleg, and of course House Torture tries to jump in, but like Bolton Oleg just literally, because he can, beat the crap out of everyone, and then beat Don Fale. I mean, hey, did you see the way he picked up Don Fale and just slammed him?
It was fantastic.
Oh man, sorry. I'm sorry. Got me hot. Sorry.
It's all good. It's setting up for the events that we're getting into the fall, because so that's all good. Yeah. So let's get into our next match, though, because this was also another fun one. The power that I'm you listen. So we have the team of I love this one right here. So we have the Esu of New Japan, Hiroshi Tanahashi. I can't believe we're almost at the end of the retirement road because January is going to be here very soon and then we cry. But we get and also Tanahashi going to be pulling double duty because this weekend I'm about to see this man fight in a steel cage alongside some other folks. So it's going to be crazy. But we got the Esu, Hiroshi Tanahashi teaming up with two of my favorite young ones in this company right now, and Yuya Uemura and Shota Umino, taking on United Empire, being represented by the Great Khan, Callum Newman, and Jacob Austin Young. Mm-hmm. I love the crowd. It loves Tanahashi. I love Tanahashi. We got 6 minutes of intros. That was great. This was a fun match. But again, we go back to what we've been saying. It's like, damn, Bullet Club, War Dogs, and United Empire are kind of falling apart right now. I was like, no.
Just a point of information. Shota Umino did not. Wait, no, that wasn't this. Wait, Jacob Austin Young. Yeah, United Empire. There was actually a few changes in this match because ELP was in it and Katsuya Morishima was in it.
That is very true. The graphics. Yeah. I was just like, New Japan, change your graphics, but it was okay.
Yeah. I mean, it was still really entertaining. Shout out to Morishima, the young lion. He had a very comical moment because, Asu was doing his rock and roll thing. And Morishima kind of like caught that. He was just like, rocking out. And Ace had to come up to be like, chill. It was really entertaining. Really, really entertaining point. Callum Newman does get the win for the United Empire, hitting a big power bomb on Morishima. Very interesting that all of a sudden every ailment that Callum Newman suffered from during the A block was gone. His knee, his back, everything. He's all better. Great Khan. He's has such great presentation, Great Khan. Every time he comes out, I'm just like, yo, y'all need to get on his level.
He was such a blast in the block. He was so much fun to watch. I was just like, even though you didn't win, you were such a good consistent factor. It was so good.
Yeah.
Oh,
go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Great Khan and Drilla Maloney's 2 interactions when they fought against each other in B block was so much fun to watch.
Yeah. And I mean, how do these kayfabe or out of kayfabe, I should say, how must these wrestlers feel knowing that they are sharing the squared circle for one of the final times with Hiroshi Tanahashi? You know what I mean? Right. How cool as a young lion is it that you got picked to be in this match with Hiroshi Tanahashi, one of his final matches. So yeah. It was, the match was fun. Nothing to really write home about, but yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Alrighty. So let's get into the next one. Oh gosh. We just keep loading everybody up. Okay. So this was the first of 2 8-person matches that we would get because we get one other one next. But this one we have Shingo Takagi, Yota Tsuji, Hiromu Takahashi, and Daiki Nagai taking on Bullet Club War Dogs, being represented by David Finlay, the Bone Soldier, Taiji Ishimori, Drilla Maloney, who can call me at any time that he wants, and of course our lovable Ghetto as well. This was just fun. I was just like, I will say this. As someone who covered B Block, I enjoyed everybody that I saw, including Shingo. I'm not mad at Shingo. I'm just mad of how they booked him because it was a rough G1 for Shingo. I was like, I expected you to go further. I don't know what happened, Shingo. I was like, damn. But you know what? This match, I was like, all right, we're returning to form, so I'm okay with it, I guess.
Yeah, that seems to be the general consensus from the NJPW internet fan base, is that they kind of felt like Shingo Takagi kind of got stunted out this G1. He still has a huge following in NJPW, and he still has it, so it was nice to see him be able to return a little bit to form in this match. Yeah, another entertaining match. Again, nothing to write home about. I feel when what's his face comes back from his injury. When Gabe Kidd comes back from his injury, I really think there's going to be a fight for the leadership of the Bullet Club. I didn't
say now.
Hi, Mama.
Well, I'm gonna take it out yours.
Sorry, I took a strawberry from her. Continue.
Again, just with the way that David Finlay has been acting, I don't see him lasting much longer as leader of the Bullet Club.
No, and we've been saying this since Wrestle Kingdom. I was like, we're teasing possibly Gabe is going to come back. Well, you brought up Gabe Kidd, so we're going to talk about Gabe in two instances because afterwards, Shingo gets on the mic after this match, calls out Gabe. We get a match made for Destruction in Kobe in September between Shingo and Gabe for the IWGP Global Championship. And I guess Gabe should be somewhat okay because he's supposed to be participating in that 5-on-5 lights out steel cage match at Forbidden Door. Because it's him, Moxley, Claudio, and the Bucks. So I'm like, okay. So we'll see what happens with we'll see what happened with all of this. I was just like, we shall see. We shall see. Alrighty, next up. So, okay, here we go. So this was our semi-main event. This is another 8-person tag match, and my God, this was a whole bunch of people. So we have TMDK, which is being represented, of course, by our IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Zack Sabre Jr., as well as other members in Ryohei Oiwa, winner of the Best of the Super Junior this year, Kosei Fujita, and Hartley Jackson taking on the House of Torture, which is represented in this match by Red Narita, Yujiro Takahashi, Sho, and Doki. It's House of Torture. I was like, did we expect anything else?
Yep. I mean, wash, rinse, repeat.
Torture.
Which it's a shame too, because it's not like these guys can't wrestle. They can wrestle really well. It just, it's just, yeah.
So unfortunately, TMDK falls to the House of Torture. Fujita made his intentions known to challenge for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championships, and Charlton won. And our commentary wonder who the partner would be. Usually it's Robbie Eagles that teams with him, but surprisingly, I was like, I wonder where Robbie is, but that's a whole different conversation. And we're talking about that when we preview it, because I was like, that's not until at the end of October, but maybe be something we can cover. But House of Torture wins. We get a couple of different segments before the finals. So after this match, we end up getting, hang on, look at my notes really quickly. So of course we get 5-time G1 winner Mashiro Chono, who was introduced, which, commentary plays up the thing. We have a video package playing the big moments from the tournament, which includes Gabe Kidd hobbling out on his crutches, which I was like, God, this really threw B-Block for a loop, but it was great. And we also got sound bites from Takeshita and Evil airing. So we've waited long enough, Adolfo. Let's get into this because Evil, I take back everything I said about you so far. I still think shenanigans of House of Torture is cray-cray. You pulled out some of the best shit I have ever seen you pull out in this match. Both of them were pulling out things I did not know they had in their arsenal. And I forgot what it's called, but Takeshita, doing that two-legged, really back, then boom, I was like, Takeshita, where are we picking this up from? This Like, I recognized that move from, I think the wrestler was named Neputoma or something like that. I was just like, holy shit, we haven't seen that in Japan in ages. Takeshita, who are you training with? Who's teaching you these things? And who do I need to give the thanks to? Because my God, these two. Here's what I think was motivating. Takeshita was pulling out moves I did not know he had. Evil heard that Tony Khan was talking massive shit about him, about not being his favorite wrestler. Is like, watch this. And then start pulling out all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, let me tell you, when I saw the entire House of Torture stable in the corner of Evil, even though Red Shoes told everyone that they had to stay behind the barricade, Bushido barricade, I still was just like, oh, I would love if out of nowhere, like the Don Callis family just kind of like filed in, and played keeper for Konosuke Takeshita, but that didn't happen. The first half, I feel like this match was the match of two halves. Mm-hmm. The first half was a House of Torture match, right? Because you had House of Torture just coming in, doing their thing, and causing shenanigans, and coming in, doing the things, causing shenanigans, right? I thought Evil was gonna take it, right? Because again, how does Evil win with House of Torture shenanigans?
Right.
Again, new NJPW watcher, right? So, like, sorry if I'm still watching this with starred eyes, but halfway through the match, when the twist happened, when referee Red Shoes told House of Torture to get the F out, right? And Rocky Romero was like headlocking and dragging people out, right? I was like, okay. And then later on, when Ren Narita tried to do his nonsense, and Zack Sabre Jr. comes out and drags him back into the back, and you had like that cool like moment where Takeshita like looks at Zack Sabre Jr. and they have that like hey moment, you know what I mean? Like that was really cool, and that's when like this match went from meh to like, oh man, yeah, I gotta pay attention to what the hell's going on, because like Takeshita was pulling moves like out his ass like crazy. And hey, did you know that Evil can actually wrestle?
Right.
He can wrestle. He can actually wrestle. And not only that, but like the two of them, they went both technical and then brawler. Like some of those lariats that Evil was laying into Takeshita was just like redonkulous. That spot where Takeshita, where Evil knocked Takeshita off the top turnbuckle and Takeshita like landed on his knee, I was like, nope, that's it. Done, there were a bunch of like drivers with that Evil hit on Takeshita that I was like, yeah, nope, that's it, but he kicked out, again, like not to sound like a broken record, but these two went to war in the most beautiful way. This match had me glued until the very end. I was so happy that Takeshita got the clean 1-2-3 on Evil. And also interesting to point out, towards the beginning of the match, halfway through the match, the crowd was very split.
Yep. Right?
At that halfway point, I think after Evil hit that one last low blow on Takeshita, that's when the crowd really, I felt, flipped. And Takeshita really won the crowd over. I do know that there's apparently there's a bunch of grumpy NJPW fans because Takeshita is a part-timer. He's not a real NJPW.
Right. It's not even just New Japan too. There's a lot of like Japanese wrestling fans in Japan that aren't too happy with Takeshita winning either.
Right. But I'm sorry, y'all are incorrect. It's my personal opinion. Y'all are wrong. This was a beautiful match, told a beautiful story. The ending was beautiful, and if you can't watch it for the gorgeous wrestling that it was, then you need to go watch The Fed.
So it was a fun back and forth. You are absolutely right. This was a match of two halves. Takeshita, despite the knee buckling and just giving every ounce of energy he has left, was able to hit the Raging Fire for the win. And your winner twice. Yes, the
one
winner
from the top turnbuckle.
Oh my god, that was so beautiful. Your winner of the G1 Climax 35 is Konosuke Takeshita, so he gets a shot at the main. Well, he gets the main event at the Wrestle Kingdom, but first of all, I cried a little bit watching him cry during his in-ring speech, talking about it, how he had a dream and he loves professional wrestling. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, Takeshita, you and Bandito are still tied for my favorite wrestlers this year, so we're going to see what's happening. And then in the commentary too, he does not want to, he wants to, echo what Zack Sabre Jr. did going into Wrestle Kingdom earlier this year, and he wants to be champion going into his match. So that means that Zack and Takeshita are going to be squaring up possibly before then too. So I'm like, this could be fun. But Takeshita is the winner of the G1 Climax 35. So before we get into previewing what New Japan has slated for their upcoming fall months, Adolfo, let's talk about it. We had a lot of crazy matches that happened. I initially said I want you to pick your top 3, but there's a lot of matches. I want you give me like 1 or 2 matches, that I think. You already kind of said it. It's your 2 matches that you think people should go watch from this tournament. Definitely, whether it be from A block, semis, finals, like whatever.
Yeah. So, we've already gone through, Takeshita, Zack Sabre Jr. Still, even though the final was really good, I still think Takeshita, Zack Sabre Jr. Was just fantastic. On an emotional level, definitely check out Hiroshi Tanahashi, Bolton Oleg. This was, I believe, either week 1 or week 2. Because they both wrestled hard, but just the reverence that Bolton Oleg showed for Tanahashi, like so much so that Tanahashi, like at the end of the match, was just like, knock it off, go be a wrestler. You know what I mean? Like, because it was just so sweet and so beautiful. Not really a match, but best dressed of the G1. That would have to go to Sonata, because my boy did not disappoint. And I'm going to have to go back and watch, but I don't think he repeated an outfit. I think he had a different outfit for every time he showed up to wrestle.
Right.
Which also, having said that, oh God, what was the match? Oh man, it was the match that ELP sat in on Sonata, and I think it was Sonata Yuya Uemura, or Sonata and Iowa. It was one of those two. But, and I know this is weird for me saying this, but like, hack off the House of Torture nonsense, because the first like 5 minutes of that match are mind-blowingly gorgeous wrestling. Then you had the House of Torture shenanigans, and it just kind of like oh man, and ELP, like I said, ELP even called it, right? He was like, he was so mad because like the match was turning out so good, right? Like, yeah. So that match as well. And also check out all the matches that Taichi wrestled in the A block. And I know that he ended up
for sure, yeah.
Yeah, I know that he ended up at the bottom with only 6 points, right? But like every match he came out, he wrestled like it was his last match. And he just like he jumped up a bunch of notches in my book. You know what I mean?
I love that.
Yeah. And it was, were they the most technically sound matches? No. But like, were they a wrestler with a lot of heart, like putting everything he had in it? Yes. And for a better half of the A block section of the tournament, like he had the fans behind him. So yeah, that's me.
So I'll quickly go through mine. Outside of the semis and the playoffs and the final, obviously, I think 3 matches that people should check out from B block in no particular order is ELP versus Takeshita in their first encounter. I think it was because this was the first time that in a while I saw Takeshita be more playful with his opponent, and ELP does such a fantastic job of being able to match whoever he's going up against. He's very diverse, which I love. The second encounter of Drilla and Great-O-Khan was so, that was so hard hitting, and it was so much fun to watch, and I had such a blast with that one. And then just from an emotional standpoint, because of what it meant, because it was 2 of the Musketeers in Japan going up against each other to determine who would be going off to the playoffs. Shota Umino versus Ren Narita, like these 2, I was just like, my God, I was like, I felt every heart and soul and craziness of it. I was like, oh my gosh, no. And so it was really emotional to see those 2 who have a history with each other, which leads me into our next question, as I'll answer this first. In B block, who was my MVP? Even though he did not get the most points, I think surprisingly my MVP of B block has to go to. It's really hard, so I had to think about this. I think Drilla was my biggest surprise and who I was impressed with the most, but I think my MVP has to go to El Phantasmo, because again, it goes back to every match he had, every opponent he went up against. It's like he became a jackknife and was able to try to adapt to their style, was very playful for it. But then the fact that Heath was a wrench in Drilla and Yoshihashi's stories and being the ultimate spoiler, taking them out of the tournament, was a lot of fun to watch him kind of do. So ELP is my MVP, but my standout for B block was Drilla. I'm such a big fan. I'm a bigger fan of Drilla now after this. So Adolfo, who is your MVP for A block?
So I'm gonna give my MVP for A block to Yuya Uemura.
Yay!
He just was solid the entire match, and had it not been for House of Torture shenanigans against Sonata and against Evil, he, I feel like, would have made it to the final over Evil. And he's younger talent. We're gonna see him again, and I would not be surprised if next year he's in the final, barring any House of Torture shenanigans. We'll see how far they take this whole House of Torture storyline. But yeah, Yuya Uemura was just fantastic. Also, I love his ring gear. So cool.
So good.
Yeah. And then what was the other one that you had? You had MVP and what?
And then I had standout. So who is your standout in A block? Be like, you know what? I was really impressed with this person.
My standout in A block was Bolton Oleg. My first introduction to Bolton Oleg was right. My first introduction to Bolton Oleg was his match against Konosuke Takeshita. Konosuke Takeshita can make anyone look good. That's just fact. Prove me wrong. Bolton Oleg, though, really solid again, really solid the entire match, but like uplifted himself more than just like your Kazakh strongman. He did show technical acumen. He did show mat knowledge, right? Ring knowledge, if you will. and he showed that he had tons of heart, right? So he was my big standout. I'm excited to see where he goes and what he does. Do I think like next year, will he be in the G1? Yes. Will he make it to the final? Maybe not. I think he still needs maybe a year or two more to kind of percolate. But he's, well, no, like, keep your eye.
Yeah.
I do want to say though, really quick, I just have to do this. I was wrong. I thought that that Hiroshi Tanahashi was gonna take it. I was wrong.
But you know what? Tanahashi had such a really strong A block though, too.
He did.
He really did.
He did.
And
he did.
But Boy's gonna
he,
be busy though, so I was like, it makes sense. He just didn't take it because he's still gonna be He's fighting with AEW also as well too. So this is gonna be interesting to see this weekend how Tanahashi does in steel cage matches.
Yeah, I honestly think that going back to Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Sonata, okay, Hiroshi Tanahashi goes up to the top turnbuckle to try an aerial move on Sonata. Sonata runs and hits the rope, right? Causing Hiroshi Tanahashi to tumble. Was that meant to be the spot in the match? Yes, I felt like that was meant to be there. However, I don't think that Hiroshi Tanahashi fell the way he wanted to fall because his knee got hung up on the brace. And I think that it tweaked his knee enough that afterwards they had to kind of call an audible and have him not be as active, if you will. Because if you notice after that match, that's when he really started to drop matches going into the final.
Right.
So I honestly think that moment is the moment that they were like, all right, we're changing plans with Hiroshi Tanahashi because he still has, he still has his retirement tour to go out on. You know what I mean? So yeah, had that spot not happened, had he fallen a better way, I think we would be having a different conversation as to who's in the final and who won the G1.
Absolutely. So, well, before we sign off for the evening, New Japan has announced that while we don't have like a big 4 in the fall, at least of right now, we do have a couple of smaller events. I do know 2 out of the 4 events I do want us to cover. So New Japan has a couple of smaller stuff going on between now and November. So, of course, as mentioned before, we have Destruction in Kobe, which has a couple of matches already made for that, which includes Shingo Takagi versus Gabe Kidd and whatnot. The King of Pro Wrestling is there. Something we are going to cover in October is the Stardom and New Japan Historic X Over, which I'm very interested. Well, I'm excited too because of the location. We're going to China for this one. I'm like,
right.
I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
I was like, give me Chinese wrestling. Let's go too. I was like, but I think this is only the second or third Historic X crossover event, so it's still fairly new, but I'm excited about that. And then something I do want to, because it's only a 2-week tournament, is the Super Junior Tag League. So this is the Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Leagues, 12 teams of 2 weeks. Winner gets a future shot at the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. So that is at the end of October. So something that we can look into. So
yep,
it's crazy, man. We get 3 months of fall, then we're in December, and then before we know it, Wrestle Kingdom 20 will be here.
Yep, Tanahashi's last event.
So Adolfo and I will talk about, we're definitely doing Historic X Over, and at least I would like to see if we could possibly do the Junior Tag League, but we got a long time for that. So,
yeah.
But that is the end for our G1 Climax 35 review. Before we go, a little bit of a programming note. Adolfo is taking a little bit of a vacation away from BC WrestlePod, which is much deserved. So he will be out for about a month or so. So he is going to recharge. He will still be here. We love him and he deserves it, at least so. So we wish him the best and our love and, all the rechargeable vibes as possible. So Adolfo, I appreciate all the work that you've been putting in so far, especially during the summer while I was gone too, which was, it was only a week, but you did a lot. And you know what? You deserve this little break. So we will be here for your return and we cannot wait.
I'm going to go catch up on my stardom and start watching TJPW.
For reals. I was just like, I think we should alternate if we could for however long BC WrestlePod is. I think next year I kind of, instead of doing the G1, since we did the G1, I would love to do the Stardom 5-star GP next year, I think, and like give that our attention.
Yeah. I mean,
I've been hearing good stuff about the matches.
Yeah, it's a lot of wrestling. And, I would love to cover it more consistently. It's just like, that
Stardom is weird.
The start time is a killer, like 4 a.m., 5 a.m. my time.
I was like, listen, I know it's the evening in Japan, you guys, but it's like 1 o'clock for me here on the West Coast, 1 a.m. It's like 5 a.m., 4 a.m. for Adolfo. Like, we want to, but we're not these sickos out here who will get up that early. I was just like, even a 10 a.m. pay-per-view is killer if I don't get enough sleep.
Yeah. So
speaking of 10 a.m. pay-per-views, though, let's take a look at what the rest of this week unfolds. So we just completed our G1 Climax review, and we still got a jam-packed week. Tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific is our AEW review. Not only will we be covering this past week's Dynamite and Collision, but the team of 4 will be doing their predictions for Forbidden Door, which is this Sunday, which is going to be a lot of fun. Then on Wednesday is our NXT and CMLL review. NXT will be reviewing the Go Home show and will be making predictions for Heat Wave. And then CMLL, we are 2 weeks away from the Grand Prix, which makes me super excited. I cannot wait to cover that. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And if you think that's crazy, we're 2 weeks away from the Grand Prix, and then I think we're 5 weeks away from the 92nd Aniversario show too. Which
we're getting down brass tacks and knuckles for that one.
For real. So Will and I will be covering CMLL that evening to get into all that goodness. On Friday, the TNA crew will be here to review TNA Emergence. We if you saw a review on Friday of the Go Home show, you know that Emergence was plagued with tech issues and some questionable decisions, which we're going to break all that down on Friday. Saturday at 5 p.m. Pacific is a big one. Andrew and I will be together once again to watch GCW Homecoming Night 1. And then Sunday is a doubleheader, 10 a.m. Pacific. The AEW boys will be doing a watch along for Forbidden Door. And then Andrew and I will be back at it again at 2 p.m. Pacific for Homecoming Night 2. So we got a lot of action happening this weekend. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and I cannot wait. But that's going to be it for us here at the Strong Style Syndicate. So until our next New Japan reviews in October, and as well as all the other stuff we got going on this week, this is Mikey El Jefe of BC WrestlePod signing off for the evening. So for myself, Adolfo, and the rest of our BC WrestlePod family, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay Bi-Conic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We will catch you later for some more wrestling goodness. But until then, this is Sayonara, adios, and until the next review, peace.
Matane.